So welcome all of you here to this collaborative worship of the Baja4, the 4 Southern Arizona UU congregations. Welcome specifically from me and from the members and friends of Sky Island to Sierra Vista today. Some of you, even some of our own members, have come from a different county to be here today. Welcome, and thank you for coming. Welcome to everyone on Zoom as well. Welcome to everyone in the building. Today we celebrate that the Baja4 is stronger together. Now you have heard this sentence a lot. It might be verging on propaganda, but it's true. So it's not propaganda. And every time we say it, it means something different. Because life and all of us and our communities changes, is complex. And so the ways we are stronger together keep shifting. When I started here, I was an older minister, but a new UU. And the Baja4 ministers and community ministers were a huge support to me when I met with them every month for lunch. They welcomed me, they trained me, they took my bizarre questions, they were fabulous. Long before I got here, Reverend Matthew came and led a retreat when this church was experiencing some breaks in community. And when you walk out, you'll see the product of that retreat, which is our Covenant of Right Relations. We have it hanging, and we also say it the first Sunday of every month, and we try, as imperfect human beings, to live into it. So the Baja4 has made us stronger for a very long time, and I hope it will, we just don't know what form, into the future, because we change, our communities change, our needs change. But I would suspect, if you walk around other buildings of these 4 churches, or you look at what they're doing, or what they're saying, or what their committees profess to believe, you would see the handiwork of other churches of the Baja4 strengthening them. You can see evidence of us everywhere. So I believe we are stronger together, and today we're celebrating that, and we are following a spiral developed by Joanna Macy called The Work That Reconnects. And it's work that helps us reconnect with ourselves. How many people here tend to feel numb some days? Wonder if you're feeling all your feelings. And Joanna starts with gratitude. And that's something we can do anywhere. It's not dependent on anything external, though it may feel like it some days. We can take a deep breath. And as she says, we can choose gratitude, and we can start there. And that softens us, opens us up, and then allows us to honor the pain and sorrow we feel. There are not many places, I think, in our world that allow us to face those things, to face sadness. But Joanna says if we don't feel sorrow for our world, we can't love it also. And that when we go into that sorrow, it opens up our hearts and our minds. So the third thing, which is seeing anew, so that when we go forth in new ways. I believe church is a place where we can bring all of our emotions. How many people, after at least 2 sets of shootings, if not more, after the one in Buffalo, fueled by racism and hatred, and the one that slaughtered children in Uvalde last week, how many people here feel a lot of different emotions about that? Right. Horrible sadness, incredible rage. At times, I'm just numb because what do we do? And this is a place we are all of ourselves are welcome here. And all of us is welcome here. And every one of us is welcome here. And we want to take a moment to hold those feelings together in this room and across Zoom as the Baja4. Imagine how big we all are, holding this sacred space and feeling all those different emotions so that we can start to reconnect to ourselves, our community, and our actions in the world. Reverend Bethany is going to lead us in a song. It's a chant. It's just 3 sentences, and you'll learn it. And we'll keep on singing it to create a place that you can sort of hold your pain and hold yourselves in. If you want to sing it, sing along. If you don't, just allow yourselves to be held by the sound as we hold all of our feelings and dreams right now.
We want our children back. We want our children back. There are too many gone too soon. We want our children back. We want our children back. There are too many gone too soon. We want our children back. We want our children back. There are too many gone too soon. We want our children back. We want our children back. There are too many gone too soon. We want our children back. We want our children back. There are too many gone too soon. We want our children back. We want our children back. There are too many gone too soon. We want our children back. We want our children back. There are too many gone too soon. We want our children back. We want our children back. There are too many gone too soon.
We are the Baja4, representing Unitarian Universalists from Southern Arizona. Though we come from different places, we share a common covenant of the Unitarian Universalist principles.
We bring soil from the land, which is the home of Mountain Vista UU congregation.
May we be grounded by this earth.
We bring air from the Huachuca Mountains, which stand tall near Sky Island Unitarian Universalist Church.
May we be enlivened by this air.
We bring water from the Santa Cruz, which nourishes the land and all its creatures around Borderlands Unitarian Universalist.
May we be nourished by this water.
We bring fire, source of all creation, from the UU Church of Tucson, symbolizing the hot sun of our Sonoran Desert.
May we be inspired by this fire.
From this land, this air, these waters, this fire, we know that we are part of a great interdependent web of creation, which holds us all. As Unitarian Universalists, we join together as the Baja4 to acknowledge our interdependence with one another and this earth.
We gather as the Baja4. We are stronger together.
Good morning, Baja4. I'm the Reverend Matthew Funkcrary, serving Borderlands Unitarian Universalist. And it is a blessing to join with you all here in person and online. I'm grateful to be with my beloved colleagues of our entire innovative worship team here at Sky Island. And so thank you, Sky Islanders, for your warm welcome to us today. With your skills and technology and everything that you have built, we are linked right now to how many screens? 84 screens. And there are many more people, because that could be a couple of people or even an entire congregation per screen. And so I'd like to also say hello to the Borderlanders and the Mountain Vistans and the, well, I guess it would be the Unitarian Universalists of UUCT. It's good to be with all of you. Our worship today has over 20 participants, live and pre-recorded by my count. It is a celebration of where we have been, and it is about the transitions for where we are going. And today we are sharing a message of those changes and transitions among the Baja4 ministers that welcomes our gratitude, honors our pain, invites new perceptions, and sends us forth, as Reverend Tina has shared with you. Joanna Macy teaches that there is a flow through our gratitude to our pain, to our emerging perceptions, and then out back into the world again, and that we return time and time again in a growing and deepening spiral. We enter into this spiral today, gathering our gratitude for the Baja4. Beauty. Thanks, Baja4, for keeping us all connected. Joint services, getting to know other UUs, amazing ministers, feeling part of a bigger group of UUs. How beautiful this held us together during some pretty intense times. Thank you. The UU message based on the 7 principles. Being able to visit and come to church via Zoom. Grateful for another day to be upright and breathing. The start to being more connected. The fact that someone at Borderlands felt comfortable enough to rub my newly shaved head. Seriously, it gets no better than that. I did not write that. The chance for friends and community. Camaraderie of thoughtful and caring people. Years of experiencing multiple ministers, appreciating that you all are different and bringing your own special presence to us. This helped when serving on a search team this past year. I love ministers. We love you as well. The ability to be multi-platform so we can be together at our own comfort levels. The ability to meet congregational needs, including Zoom, and audiovisual contact. As some get older, it helps us retain contact and support. Evidence that there are, in fact, 4 UU congregations in southern Arizona. Support during trying times. All y'all keeping the flame alive. My thoughts, feelings, and aspirations are all welcome here and shared. After a rocky path, challenges with anxiety, and several stops and starts, my youngest just graduated from community college with an associate's degree. The feeling of greater community, kindness, and sensitivity, knowing that there is a whole group of like-minded people out there. Technology for ability to see the many. Wonderful ministers and their creativity, their commitment to technology and to all of us. Mindfulness. The collegiality of our ministers broadens our learning. We share resources, innovation, and faith. We are a powerful voice in Southern Arizona. We are not alone. My friends in this community, grateful for the work that led to our formal collective. Sharing of emotion, solidarity in spirit, connected to community of love, community. Health, life, and community support, a sense of belonging to a community, a warmth of a greater community and strength. I feel less isolated. Great ministers, beauty. The growth of UU over the last 75 years. Meeting wonderful new people, being in a beautiful place, and meeting a special someone in my life. Community and support, we all face the same challenges and share the triumphs. Community of individuals bounded by a commitment to love and respect. All my needs are met. I have enough love, money, and food. The ability to share with other congregations without travel. Opportunity to connect with more people. So happy to see all 4 beloved ministers together and members of your congregations. Feeling of support and comfort with the group. Blue pancakes and blue eggs with my son. People working together to make Zoom work for as many as possible. Amen. We are not alone. Knowing that we don't have just Reverend Sam or Reverend Matthew in our lives, but we also have Reverend Tina and Reverend Bethany in our lives. You're all so wonderful. I'm grateful for the dedication that brings the Baja4 together today. Grateful for all the shared faith and for all the chance to be in community with all of you, Lynn and Barry in Vail. Connection, a place to share ideas. The synergy of energy and collaborative skills for the 4 ministers to bring forth spiritual messages to UUs. Community. I'm grateful for my home church community and the extended family community of the Baja4, a place to share joy, wonder, and build connections. Multi-platform services. We are grateful for a local UU community, like-minded people, built-in friends who share our values. The hope I have to meet and know more of our congregants from other Baja4 congregations. Camaraderie, experimentation, community. The help you have given to our youth program as we are currently without a DRE. Saying again, all y'all keeping the faith. That the 4 churches got together and saw us through the worst COVID times. Baja4, earth and sky. Staying connected with other UUs. It's my second Sunday at a UU service, and I am thankful for the potential to have a spiritual hole filled in me. Thanks for making us stronger together. Baja4, earth and sky. A safe place for my feelings. Zoom connection community. The ability to take a break at work and attend church remotely. I've never felt so welcomed in a church setting. Thank you all. Grateful for all the beautiful UU faces and laughter. Thanks be for all that has been given words and all that is still silent within our hearts. Recognizing all that we have received with gratitude, it is now our touchstone for all that is to come.
good to see you right at the buzzer. I'm Reverend Sam, and I've been loving you from Tucson. And I was recently in Oakland, California, visiting a friend where me and my family will be moving on July 1st. And I was visiting with her, and she taught me a brand new word, blissonance. Blissonance, she said, is that feeling you get when you're experiencing pleasure, a short-term pleasure, but it is disrupted and wedded to the recognition that the very thing you're taking pleasure in is having an adverse impact on the world around you. Or that the source of pleasure, like a warm day when it's not supposed to be that warm, or an airplane ride to visit a friend, is itself interdependent with harm and environmental change. Blissonance. But for me, even now, the bliss part is feeling harder. The pain feels overwhelming, and I am so overwhelmed by my pain, I don't even want to honor it, even if I have to as a minister. Honoring my pain sounds a bit like being grateful for water when you're drowning. Now, instead of anything felt, I actually just feel numb. I feel like a perpetual global bystander. To every form of violence imaginable, I watch and I watch and I watch, but I no longer see or feel. Now, this psychic numbing is something we have explored as a people for a long time. It was first articulated in the 1960s by a psychologist who was studying rescue workers in Hiroshima. And they were exploring how to survive being a rescue worker in that situation, you would literally have to numb yourself to do the work that was called on for you. To not see, to not feel. But then in the 1990s, another psychologist studied the genocide in Rwanda. And they studied the reaction that people had here in the United States and showed that we feel less when the tragedy is more. And we know how to feel more when there are fewer tragedy. So it turns out when something feels really, really big, we feel really, really small. And if you combine those things, feeling small enough, long enough, and not seeing and not feeling, you start to experience what was supposed to be a short-term defense against the unprecedented tragic, and it becomes a long-term strategy for daily life. And here we are. So I guess it leads me to the most sincere question. In a world where there is unprecedented daily tragic, should you stay numb or should you defrost? Now, I mean this sincerely. Should you stay numb? And if you defrost, why? Why should you defrost? A psychology mentor of mine, Mary Watkins, said that psychic numbing is a wordless bargain. And in exchange of your aliveness and your vitality for distance to what disturbs you. And what I know in my own life is that numbness that I project on the world out there does not like to stay compartmentalized to the world out there. Numbness becomes me. How I am alone with my own damn self. How I am with my family, with my congregation, with this world. So it seems like if I want to deny feeling in one part of my life, I lose connection and belonging in the rest of it. And if I want to deny pain in one part of my life, I lose joy. And for me, losing joy is very personal. So if psychic numbing is not seeing, not feeling, being the bystander in the global movie theater of curated doom scrolling, then its antidote is reclaiming our capacity to focus deeply on what is right there with you, the intimate here and now, to focus what is close and particular, to shift the view from observing tragedies out there to what is distant, to feeling its ripple in the place of your loving. And this focus, this gift of your attention to the very pain that hurts, is what allows for accountable action at all later on. You can't be accountable to a feeling of grief, but you can be accountable to particular people in particular places. So Columbine was in 1999. I was a 7th grader. I know what an active shooter drill feels like because I've been in them. But after Uvalde, I have been struck by a very different and deeper pain because now I have a child. There, my only small, sincere shift from numbness to focus is to focus on my daughter. The smell of her head in the morning before daycare. I focus on my mom, a 3rd grade teacher. She texts me each day this week, telling me stories from the classroom. We focus on each other and the numbness defrosts. In the recently revealed Supreme Court documents, after laying in bed each night, numb, I began to risk saying out loud my own experience choosing abortion. I focused my pain in on my own life. And this focus led to other people telling me about theirs. Now, I want to share with you, if you feel alone and numb about that, you are not alone. So many of us have chosen that path. And then so many of us haven't told the story. So shifting into focus on the people we love here and now, a circle of people at Mountain Vista began to self-identify themselves to each other. And suddenly the focus was each other. And then suddenly our pastoral care team was reaching out, the Tucson Abortion Support Collective, to be a spiritual and pastoral connection locally. The practice of action is bound in your defrosting and the ability to focus in with honor the pain you feel. So then I shift my focus to a different kind of suffering, away from the unprecedented tragic and the unnecessarily cruel, but to a very human kind, the kind that comes when you are finite, the pain of saying goodbye, the pain of what ends. Every Sunday, I am trying to focus on what it means to say goodbye to people I love and that I have loved for 3 years. And to say goodbye to the Baja4 and the role that I have now, and to let each of our relationships change. And each Sunday we use more tissues. And each Sunday it gets easier, so much so it's a joke. So I want to focus on you, the Baja4. Thank you for letting me be a minister among you for these last 2 years. Thank you for teaching us what Unitarian Universalism could be. Generous instead of competitive. collaborative instead of individualistic, and generative instead of routine. We helped each other defrost for 2 years. And I see many, many more to come. So what about you? Where do you need to focus? What is hurting in you that is deserving of your loving attention? And in that loving attention, what might defrost? Thank you, Chris. Saying goodbye to Reverend Sam. I feel lost and alone sometimes, even though I know I have these friends and this family. The increasing loss of the others with whom we share the planet. The awareness of our vulnerability in our older years. Saying goodbye. My loved ones decline into Alzheimer's. Those affected by the Uvalde massacre. I lost a friend of 42 years and performing his memorial service with his family yesterday. My son has cancer and I want to be strong and yet I fear. Loss and change and a feeling of helplessness. The world is quite literally going to hell and nobody can save it. I'm afraid I still want the retreat into numbness. The child I lost. Sorrow about the latest school shootings and the state of my marriage. Facing an uncertain future in my life after a divorce. A broken heart. My family moving away. Overwhelmed and challenged to act. The overwhelming mass of tragedy and grief, innocent lives taken in Ukraine as well as our country. Concern about climate change while others refuse to change habits. The passing of my son. Seek the positive in growing older. The real consequences of inflation and summer in Arizona and the ability to even afford the air conditioning that makes the summer bearable. The world can seem messed up. I have to believe I'm doing something to make it better. Confusion and embarrassment of my fears. Trying to find a way to make a difference when I feel so much pain and sadness about the senseless gun violence in this country. My depression is worse. The pain attached to the knowledge I can't always keep my child safe as he is eating breakfast with me this Sunday morning. Saying goodbye to Rev Sam and keeping hope alive during these difficult times. My numbness to the recent events. my blissonance that the least negative impact any of us can is in death. Being constantly betrayed, feeling invisible or irrelevant. I feel profoundly alone. I wish to honor my pain by placing my attention on my UU community and the love and support I feel here. My close friends, memories, remaining family. Privilege. My depression is worse today. The pain of another mass shooting, I want to focus is on pushing politicians towards reasonable gun control. Watching my mother slipping away from Alzheimer's. I choose not to wallow. The sorrow of grief and tears of yet another school shooting without the hope that elected politicians will respond to curtail the ease of military gun purchases again and again. I grieve the loss of hope in democracy. Donating to hungry children worldwide, to indigenous peoples, to American democracy, and more every month. I choose not to wallow in sorrow and grief today. The felt sense of our Mother Earth suffering floods and fires and enormous loss of life and species across forests, air, and oceans. I see to live in the moment of a wish fulfilled. Over the past 10 years, I've lost my faith in a supreme being, but I'm still a Jesus follower. My focus has to be on the grief over the loss and the incredible anger at those who call ourselves Christians but don't really follow him. Since 2016, a distancing in my relationship with my parents. I smile through my tears and I fight for hopefulness, but I am dying nonetheless. It's very hard to hold both. Growing old alone. The pain about those in control who do nothing to help students and teachers avoid being massacred will help the electoral process to elect senators who care and act at state and national levels. As Chris plays, we'll have a moment of holding for all that is said and unsaid online, for all that's in your own hearts, your own reactions to the words shared, your own feeling of rage or sadness or numbness to every single thing you read that enters your profound heart, mind, brain, and body and does not know where to go. To every moment you hold in your family and your community that sometimes we know nothing about, but you walk in the door and you smile nonetheless. To all that you hold, you mysterious being, each of us, complicated and sacred. To bringing pain even when the solution seems so uncertain, so impossible, to what feels like this perpetual, endless flow of sadness, but yet what happens when we flow together and hold the wider bowl? We make more space. We honor our pain so that we feel again, so that solutions that come out don't come from numb minds and bodies, they come from people who are truly alive. We cannot make solutions from numbness. The solution itself would be numbing. We must come alive. We come alive when we come together. And when we come together, we are truly together when we're real. And we say we're stronger together because as real, complicated people, we continue to choose each other. We hold each of our pain, our collective pain, and together we create strength. May the pain we feel be equal to the gratitude we have, and may it guide us to aliveness. May it be so. Amen. And thank you.
I will be your standing stone. I will stand by you. I will be your standing stone. I will stand by you. I will be your standing stone. I will stand by you. I will be your standing stone. I will stand by you. I will be your standing stone. I will stand by you.
Thank you, Shakila. What a beautiful song. When I listen to it, besides being so moved by the beautiful music, I can't help but wonder. I wonder how. The lyrics are so simple. They only say, I will be your standing stone. I will stand by you. To me, it means I will be here with you, or I will support you, or I will advocate for you because you are important, you are worthy, you are loved, is what the song doesn't say. My question for us then is, how? How do we show up for each other in ways that make us both feel important, worthy, and loved? What makes you in particular feel important, worthy, and loved? And how can we show up for you? Because sometimes people think they're doing that thing when in reality what they're doing is exactly the opposite of that thing that makes me feel important, worthy, and loved. And so our story today might pose one answer to that question, one answer of many, many, many. Let's read it together. This story is titled The Rabbit Listened, and it is by Corey Dorfeld. One day, Taylor decided to build something new, something special, something amazing. Taylor was so proud. But then, out of nowhere, things came crashing down. The chicken was the first to notice. Cluck, cluck, what a shame. I'm so sorry this happened. Let's talk about it. Cluck, cluck, cluck. But Taylor didn't feel like talking, so the chicken left. Next came the bear. Graw, roar, how horrible. I bet you feel so angry. Let's shout about it. Graw, roar, roar. But Taylor didn't feel like shouting, so the bear left. The elephant knew just what to do. Trump, I can fix this. We need to remember exactly the way things were. But Taylor didn't feel like remembering. So the elephant left. One by one they came. The hyena, hee hee, let's laugh about it. The ostrich, gulp, let's hide and pretend nothing happened. The kangaroo, tisk tisk, what a mess, let's throw it all away. And the snake, shh, let's go knock down someone else's. But Taylor didn't feel like doing anything with anybody. So eventually they all left until Taylor was alone. In the quiet, Taylor didn't even notice the rabbit, but it moved closer and closer until Taylor could feel its warm body. Together they sat in silence until Taylor said, "Please stay with me." The rabbit listened. The rabbit listened as Taylor talked. The rabbit listened as Taylor shouted. The rabbit listened as Taylor remembered and laughed. The rabbit listened to Taylor's plans to hide, to throw everything away, to ruin things for someone else. Through it all, the rabbit never left. And when the time was right, the rabbit listened to Taylor's plans to build again. I can't wait, Taylor said. It's going to be amazing. The end. When Taylor's building fell down, they had so many big feelings, and all the animals who came to stand by Taylor just made Taylor feel worse, until Rabbit. And Rabbit seems to have done the least of all. I mean, Rabbit just sat there. Rabbit just listened. But any of you who have tried to just listen know that when somebody is in pain or discomfort, that it's really easy to offer a fix or a solution, and it is really hard to just listen. So this story is a reminder for us that sometimes we can make it better just by being quiet, by staying close, by listening, which might be the hardest thing we can do for each other.
The Change by Matthew P. Taylor. I can feel the change coming like growing pains. I can feel the change in my bones, pulling me, stretching me, forming me into the true I am. Can you feel it? The change in our bodies as we adapt, grow, change, the weight shifting and molding to fit the evolving body that we are in, guided by faith that this too shall pass. We can survive this because our ancestors survived. Can you feel them in your DNA? You, a mixture of their particles that was molded to fit your spirit, change and shift, mold and grow, and yet in some ways we stay the same. You might know this reading. It was in our last UU World magazine that just came out a few weeks ago, page 45. And in it, I hear Matthew Taylor's wisdom inviting us to feel into our evolving, individually and together as a faith community. The change that brings us, each and all, by the gifts of our ancestors and our life in the Spirit, to our truest becoming. And I can hear Matthew saying these words. I can recall him living this evolving up until his death late last year. The brief bio in the UU World names Matthew as a UU witch, but he was practicing long before he found Unitarian Universalism. It recognizes his leadership in UU communities, but it lists too few of the roles that he took on and the gifts of guidance he provided. And it does not relate that Matthew was known and deeply beloved by many, many of us. Jamili and Reverend Samantha and myself and others among them. Reverend Samantha and I met Matthew well over a decade ago, Jamili through seminary. I met him while I was serving at the minister of Reverend Samantha's home congregation, the Universalist Unitarian Church of Riverside. I was first Matthew's pastor, and then years after leaving that congregation, we reconnected as colleagues when he entered seminary and began his UU ministry, and from there, we grew our friendship. We enjoyed playing Magic the Gathering, a collectible card game, for hours and talking about strategy. We sat in the back of conferences, giggling at snarky things. We wept when we recognized our belonging together, and we served our UU youth at our church camp. And we were often bemused, he and I, at how often people mixed us up due to our shared name, despite his spelling Matthew with just one T, and how clearly distinct our appearances were. Black and white, well over 6 feet, not yet getting to 5'11". Serene and solid and listening, and too often ready to jump into action. I miss him. I miss him dearly. Just as you miss those who are beloved to you. For each of us knows this loss. Each of us knows what death is like, that someone who by our knowing and loving them has invited us to truly become who we are. It is a blessing that our congregations are filled with individuals like this. Beloved blessings to our lives. And when they take their leave of us by death or distance, we are at our best when we share in the mourning of that loss. When we pause. When we let that numbness go. And we honor our pain together. When we mourn, opening to our grief, engaging in the pain of a relationship that has come to an ending. And it hurts. It hurts because we love. Indeed, the depth of our pain is a reflection of our love. And by engaging this loss, we can return to that love. And when we do, we are renewed by it. If even in that relationship, we find once again we are not alone. Four nights ago, I dreamt I met Matthew. I was so grateful to see him again. It was pure joy to see him just sitting serenely at the Mary and Joseph Retreat Center in Rancho Palos Verdes. And there was an open seat next to him. And when I moved to sit there, I realized he can't be here. He's gone. But in the logic of the dream, it didn't matter. His loss didn't hurt any less But it redirected me to know that I was grateful to be in his presence and to share once again in that love. I found I could accept this change, accept this difference between us, death and life, and recognize that despite it, we were in relationship, we were in love still. I woke certain that Matthew Taylor is in my bones. He's part of my DNA. He is my spiritual ancestor. And he's still changing and shifting, molding and growing me toward my truest becoming. We, the people of the Baja4, the congregations for independent and interdependent congregations, we are not experiencing that death of a beloved, but we are embodying loss. And my pastoral education and experience informs me that all of our losses and all of our griefs are one. We draw from all of our experience that we have ever had, from the simplest losses to those so profound that we are still numb, that we would choose to be numb from them. They all come from a deep well. And drinking from it, we may first only taste the bitterness. And maybe that's too much and you need to turn away. But if you continue to plumb, if you continue to reach down deep, there are renewing waters of love waiting below. To paraphrase Matthew, we can feel change. The growing pains among us, the pulling and the stretching and the forming into the true we are. Can you feel it? Can you feel what is happening among us? We will change in our communities. We will adapt and we will grow and we will evolve. And we will do this again and again and again. We will continue this spiral as we have already. Because we will find that we are in each other's bones. We are in each other's DNA. We are the particles that form that future beyond anything that we could dream that we are stronger together means. Just as it is forming this moment, just as it is forming us now. We are stronger together. This is not the we of this gathering today. It is the we of the past. It is the we in this room and online, and it is the we of the future that we are becoming, the truest becoming. None of it is lost. All of it is held because we love.
Come sing a song with me. Come sing a song with me. Come sing a song with me that I might know you're mine. Come walk in rain with me. Come walk in rain with me. Come walk in rain with me that I might Come dream a dream with me. Come dream a dream with me. Come dream a dream with me that I might know your mind. Come share a rose with me. Come share a rose with me. Come share a rose with me that I might know your mind. And I'll bring you hope when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the winter time.
Okay, once more, we are stronger together. We've said this in most, if not every one of our services, and I think you've heard it 9 times this morning, 10 maybe. But to close our service, I want to talk about what we mean when we say we, what we are spiraling back to when we say we. In this Baja4 collaborative service, Baja4 collaborative service, the pre-recorded one marking the first anniversary of our collaboration back in March 2021, Reverend Matthew borrowed a phrase from Carl Sagan and said, if you wish to make a new UU identity from relationship, we first need you. We first need you. You who maybe weren't so sure about those collaborative services at first or ever. And you who learned how to have many ministers at one time and love them all. You who yearned for the traditions of your home congregation. And you who leaned into the creativity that became possible when we worked together as 4. You who were there from the beginning and you who joined us along the way, never knowing anything different. We needed all of you to make it happen. Not only your attendance, but also your feedback, your engagement, your support, your critique, and your love. The Baja4 has been you all along. And I was starting to think, as we were talking about spiraling this morning, I was remembering that this pandemic was just a spiral around the Baja4 identity. Because there was another spiral around that identity back in January 2015, when this Baja4 identity was kind of claimed by the 4 congregations. And there was a spiral even before that, when Mountain Vista and the UU Church of Tucson were one. They hadn't yet split. And there was a spiral before that when people here at Sky Island you told me to carpool up to Tucson on Sundays. It's a spiraling around this identity. In this last spiral around the pandemic, it gave us a chance to deepen into that identity of the Baja4, to revisit what that identity meant. And I, for one, am grateful that we, and I mean all of us, took the leap of faith and reinvented our identity, deepened into these relationships. You have guided and molded this effort. If you had not kept showing up or kept engaging, kept being transformed, our identity as the Baja4 could not have grown as it did. In this partnership, we have sometimes mistaken the worship planning team, those of us in the front row here, and Chris in the back, and Brian at UUCT now, we have sometimes mistaken this team for the Baja4. Baja4 is not this team who you saw pre-recorded or you're seeing in the pulpit this morning. The Baja4 is all of us. And those, as Matthew said, who have yet to come into this room, those who we can't even imagine where they would sit or where they would be in this community. There are so many transitions happening around us. Reverend Sam will soon be leaving Tucson, leaving our community for a while. Reverend Matthew will soon be transitioning from being the minister at Borderlands to becoming the minister at Mountain Vista. And Reverend Tina will soon be starting an 80% ministry here at Sky Island, which we are so excited about. And in the midst of all these transitions, It will be important to come back to this spiral that the Baja4 is not one season or one team or just the staff. It is the relationships that have been sown between our congregations over time, over decades. Starting as early as when there were caravans to Tucson on Sunday mornings, and continuing into this most recent season of the Baja4 collaborative worship services. And we are approaching a new season, a new spiral. The focuses of our Baja4 next year will be lifespan faith development, aided by our wonderful community who we love and appreciate, and also pastoral care, which I think you'll be hearing about in the coming months. And there will be room in this spiral, right, for a new identity to form. Maybe we will have small groups together, or go on hikes together, or learn new things together. Maybe we will figure out how to collaborate well on justice projects, and maybe, probably actually, we will figure out how to do music together, right? Because what is community without music? All of these things, whatever you might imagine we could be, they all require exactly the same thing of you. We need you to show up, to contribute your gifts, to help us mold our collective identity, and to help us realize new ways of being stronger together. There are ideas brewing about how we might collaborate on worship together, and those ideas will involve you too in different and new ways. Because you are what makes us stronger together. Without you, there is no we, and without together, there is no stronger. It has been that way all along, and has never been more true. We has always meant all of us. This is our shared identity. It is in our hands. May we all remember to be tender to the core of the Baja4, because we know we are stronger together.
We are the Baja4, representing Unitarian Universalists across Southern Arizona. Although we come from different places, we share the common covenant of our UU principles. We are committed to this faith and to the mission of each congregation. When one congregation is filled with joy, we each feel and experience this joy. When one congregation is filled with sorrow or struggle, we know this sorrow or struggle ripples out. There is no you and me. There is us, and we are stronger together. We share this ritual of grounding in the elements to recognize the transition and the change in our midst.
Like the sand from the land surrounding the home of Mountain Vista Unitarian Universalist congregation, I bring the hope of grounding in the earth to each of our communities. Knowing the transition before our siblings at Borderlands Unitarian Universalist, I offer this sand now as a recognition of the uncertainty that we have traveled through, and as a witness. There is grounding that awaits you, and as Reverend Matthew transitions from your minister to ours, we affirm his ministry with you, and our congregation is ready to welcome new leadership into the Baja4, to be a faithful partner in the days and weeks and years ahead. We will be here. May we be grounded by this earth.
Like the air from the Santa Rita Mountains, which stand near Borderlands Unitarian Universalist, we honor the winds of change that are blowing through our communities. With these winds come challenges, but also hope as they rise to the tallest of the mountains. We offer a blessing of hope and inspiration to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Tucson, recognizing the leadership you are demonstrating with lifespan faith development. We look forward to the gifts, Jamili, and the lifespan leaders of the Baja4 in the coming year. May we be called and inspired by this air.
As the water from the Rialto nourishes the land and all the creatures around the UU Church of Tucson, may these waters bring renewal and nourishment to our siblings at Sky Island. In the coming year, you will gift us a pastoral care network sustaining our nation, our congregations in the Baja4, and quenching our thirst when the way is hard or unclear. We honor this gift you extend and know that you too have struggled across these pandemic years. We extend these waters with the blessing of renewal for all of us. May we be nourished by this water.
Like the hot sun of the Sonoran Desert, we at Sky Island Unitarian Universalist Church recognize that fire can devastate as well as bring life. Most especially to our siblings at Mountain Vista Unitarian Universalist congregation. We know you may feel the last few years of transition to a new property, searching for a minister, and now in the celebration of a new minister while saying goodbye to Reverend Samantha. These are hard things to do. Like fire used on a clay pot, you have been strengthened in these years by hard things. You have crafted a vessel for a strong, beautiful ministry. We honor the gifts and strengths that Reverend Samantha brought you, which will endure long after she is gone. Fire can be devastating, but when it is drawn with purpose and intent and covenant, fire strengthens us. May we each be strengthened and clarified by this heat and this fire.
From this land, this air, these waters, this fire, we affirm that we have all that we need and so much more to live into the promise and premise of Unitarian Universalism. We pledge our love in this coming year. We rejoice, we mourn, and we honor. We gather as the Baja4. We are stronger together.